October 26, 2019, northwest Syria. The moon hung low over the horizon, veiled in dust and silence. Far below, scattered villages slept, unaware that history was about to change. In the night sky, the rhythmic chop of rotor blades grew louder. Aboard these Blackhawks, the men of Delta Force, every soldier knew this was a one-way flight into enemy territory. Their mission: find Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the self-proclaimed caliph of ISIS, the man who inspired an army of terror and the death of thousands, including an American humanitarian, Kayla Mueller. Baghdadi rose from the ruins of Iraq's insurgency, declaring himself the leader of a global caliphate. His forces swept across the Middle East, burning cities, enslaving civilians, and spreading fear through propaganda. But by 2019, his empire had collapsed. He had become a fugitive, moving from safe house to safe house, protected by only the most loyal followers. For U.S. intelligence, he was a shadow, one who always slipped away moments before the strike, until one fateful day, a captured ISIS courier made a mistake, and the trail reopened. Kayla Mueller wasn't a soldier. She was a volunteer, a symbol of hope in a region torn apart by war. She worked to feed the hungry and heal the wounded. When ISIS captured her in 2013, she endured unimaginable abuse. Despite it all, she never abandoned her faith or compassion. Naming this operation after her wasn't random. It was a message that even in darkness, light would be remembered. For the operators flying into danger, her name carried weight. They weren't just eliminating a terrorist, they were honoring a life of courage. It began with a whisper from a captured ISIS wife, then a courier's routine. Every trip, every meeting, every phone ping, tracked and cross-checked. Drones watched from the sky. Local informants risked their lives on the ground. For months, agents followed the trail, slowly tightening the noose. At last, confirmation arrived. Baghdadi was living in a walled compound in Berisha, near the Turkish border, a remote area surrounded by farmland but crawling with militant checkpoints. This was it. The White House gave the green light. Task Force 9 and Delta Force would bring him down. 8 aircraft thundered into the darkness, including CH-47 Chinooks and MH-60 Blackhawks, each packed with Delta operators, K-9 units, interpreters, and medical teams. Their pilots, the Night Stalkers, flew barely 50 feet above the ground, weaving through valleys at 150 miles per hour. On board, silence. No chatter, no fear, only focus. As they crossed into Syrian airspace, electronic jammers went live, blinding enemy communications. Russian radar operators were quietly notified through military channels to stand down. At 11 p.m., the strike team arrived above Berisha. The world's most wanted man had less than 15 minutes to live. The approach wasn't quiet for long. Automatic gunfire erupted from the village. One helicopter took hits, small arms rounds punched through its fuselage. But the Night Stalkers didn't break formation. Delta's snipers responded instantly, neutralizing threats before boots hit the ground. Moments later, the assault team surrounded the compound. Through loudspeakers, they called for surrender. Women and children emerged trembling. Then came the breach. A controlled explosion blew open the outer wall. Inside, Baghdadi fled down a tunnel, dragging 2 children. Pursued by a military K-9 named Conan, he triggered his suicide vest. The blast was deafening. When the dust settled, there was silence and finality. The Caliph of ISIS was gone. Delta operators moved methodically through the rubble, collecting evidence, mapping the tunnel, securing bodies. A DNA test confirmed the impossible. It was him, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. In that moment, years of intelligence, sacrifice, and loss came full circle. No American lives were lost. Not one. Hours later, the world learned the news. From the White House, the president addressed the nation. Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Celebrations erupted across coalition bases. In Syria and Iraq, civilians who once lived under ISIS's terror felt relief for the first time in years. But for Delta, the mission was never about glory. It was about closure and remembrance. The mission that ended a reign of terror carried one name: Kayla Mueller, a name that stood for kindness, courage, and compassion. In her memory, justice was delivered. For those who fight in the shadows, for those who never returned, and for one young woman who believed in light even amid darkness. Operation Kayla Mueller was more than a military triumph. It was the moment America's silent warriors reminded the world: evil never wins forever.